But I also think about some of the projects, and they exist, that may take it a step further and do like AI. I just can't imagine what it can do to a brain when you're typing out exactly what you want your quote unquote companion to do, and they do exactly that. Mikhail here, joined by Mike. You can call us Mick and Mike. We do this every other week. We get together, we talk about the biggest news in crypto. How you doing, Mike?
Man, how are you?
You bring to me three different projects that have secured funding recently, and we discussed them. And today I'm feeling a little bit of like a meta type of vibe. What are you finding from MeshMap?
Yeah, so MeshMap, so they raised 4 million from A16Z, Crypto Startup Accelerator, GSR, Lattice Fund, and others. This is pretty interesting, right? So we talked. I don't know if we talked about it, but in the past, but Live Mapper is a pretty big deep in project, and essentially they're competing with like Google Maps. They put a dash cam on your car and then it maps, right? But this is different. Like MeshMap it's leveraging crowdsourcing and blockchain to do similar mapping, but it's building kind of like overall through virtual representation of the world, right? So using this a little bit more for not specifically real world mapping, getting from point A to point B, but you're talking about mixed reality games or real estate planning, where you've got to look at homes that you might want to buy in like a 3D virtual world, right? So yeah, it's kind of moving into a little bit of a comeback on like metaverse stuff. I think we'll talk about another one too. But yeah, a little bit of like VR, AR, mixed reality, crowdsourcing the world for those use cases.
When you brought this to my attention, I honestly wasn't initially impressed, but I think more importantly, this speaks to the narrative that's coming back. Because to your point, the whole like metaverse, like that died out. And there's a project that I am somewhat close with. Like I know the founders, and they were struggling to get funding. And it's this OVR, over the reality.ai project. And to me, like as you were telling me about MeshMap, I was thinking, it sounds very similar to what these guys are doing, and they've been around for a while. Now, full disclosure, like I don't own any tokens here. I just know the team. I've met them at a few different conferences. So I am curious to know like what's the differentiating factor, because like you said, augmented reality, that's a big part of what they're doing here as well. And their team seems to be pretty sound. They're based in Italy. Met both the CTO and the CEO. But I think more importantly, it just speaks to maybe perhaps the narrative here. The sandboxes of the world, the Decentralands of the world that we kind of wrote off. Perhaps maybe there's going to be a comeback here, and I'm curious to know if this new trend, does it have anything to do with the announcements from Meta, you think?
I don't know, but I do think that I think that the metaverse will be back. I think NFTs will be back. Yeah, look, I think we've just been in we had a couple of year and a half or 2 years of a pretty tough market where at E1 of the metaverse and NFTs was like extremely frothy. It was a V1, right? There's a lot of experimentation. I think a lot of users got caught up in just in the hype, and it's not great products were put out there, because I think there was the financial aspect of it kind of overcame that those products and those pixely metaverses and all that and those not great games. I think the market going to improve. I think we're going to see a lot more metaverse, and I think just overall, right? People are looking for stuff to do. People are looking for people to engage with, whether that's in the metaverse or in social. So I think it's coming back. It's going to come time.
To your point, people are definitely looking for like that social aspect. And this is the other one that you brought to my attention, mycompanion.ai.
A few months ago, you saw all of those little devices like Humane, Rabbit, kind of these like hardware devices that talk to people that people talk to, and can cure loneliness and that kind of stuff. And this isn't anything super new, right? Like there's companion.ai. I think that was the one. It's called that. That's got a really They got some good traction. It doesn't have to name to the crypto, but I think this seems to be the crypto version of it. Again, like people are lonely. People are lonely. We've got a very virtual world. It's sometimes tough to meet people out there, and I think that we think that's the way the world should go in terms of companionship. It doesn't really matter, right? Like if people are going to find companionship, and people will build for that. So that's what Second Life seems to be. They have already over 1 million users. We got a couple of these metaverses ish raises in the last week that I think we're going on another run again.
Something that I've been thinking about, and I don't know if it's necessarily companion.ai, so I definitely don't want to, spread any kind of shade. Because to your point, I do agree that there's a lot of lonely people out there. We just talked about how distributed we are, our industry. We're all working in silo. And so I think there is from a business perspective, you see that there is a need for that. But I also think about some of the projects, and they exist, that may take it a step further and do like AI. And I'm just thinking in terms of, I don't know if you've heard about any of this, but I just can't imagine what it can do to a brain when you're typing out exactly what you want your quote unquote companion to do, and they do exactly that. Like, I'm just wondering if it leads to more silo behavior. And what's the incentive to like go out there and like meet people and build like real relationships and connections? Maybe I'm getting off topic here, but I think this is something that we should really think about as society.
I get a lot of energy from actually meeting people in the real world. Like conversing on Twitter and having these conversations are great. I would love to do this. We can do it live. In life, that would be amazing, right? But not everyone wants that, and other people are, maybe introverts. They maybe just don't have the access that they want to the outside world. I don't know what it is, the desire to get out. But there's billions of people in this world, and everyone's going to be different.
Mike, this next project that you brought to my attention is a little bit more in line with what we're seeing from a current narrative right now with NodePay.
They allow users to monetize their unused internet bandwidth, and then they use that bandwidth for AI training. So essentially, they're the middle. They're kind of the broker of taking your unused internet, paying you for that, and then that unused internet allows AI companies to access public training data, labeling, model sharing, distributed training. So it sits in between. Instead, it's incentivizing user resources from its users and helping the AI industry become more efficient and use those resources more efficiently.
One thing to note is that 2 out of the 3 projects that you brought to our attention are also building on Solana, which is a continuation of what we discussed last time, which is there's a lot of projects on Solana that are continuing to secure funding. So it doesn't seem like Solana is slowing down anytime soon. That covers it for this week. If you found this video informative, please consider giving us a like and subscribing, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Awesome. Thanks, man.